Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's video is another edition of my Mailed Treasure series where I show you how to create some nice envelopes. This is heavily inspired obviously from the latest journal I made. I'm still not over exploring color, and so I thought that it would be nice to create this envelope. I started out with a piece of A4 sized craft paper, and I'm scoring it at 8 and 22 to create the side flaps. And then I'm going to turn the page around on one side, and I'm going to score a 2 for the bottom flap and 4 for the top flap. And then I need to cut the four sides of that paper. When you're cutting those pieces, make sure to go over the fold line so your coin envelope can close quite well. Now I'm rounding the corners of all the sides of the coin envelope. And now I'm adding some stamping to the envelope. And now I've grabbed some old book pages and I'm removing the white parts on the sides and on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to use these book pages to create some decoration for the envelope. This piece I'm going to rip in half using a ruler, and I'm just going to position it sort of like this. And now I'm inking it, of course. So now I grabbed another page, and with this one I'm going to create two little decorations for the envelope. This time I'm only taking away the blank areas on the top and on the bottom, and I'm keeping the one on the sides. And then I'm ripping this in half. And with these pieces I'm gonna fold them. And I'm going to sort of position them this way to create a clustered look. For the first one of these decorations, I started by stamping these flowers with some black ink, and then I'm coloring them with watercolor pencils. In the background, before adding the flowers, I also added some random stamping just to give a little bit of interest to the piece. And with these flowers, I colored them in all different colors because I wanted to recreate the palette, although I didn't have enough space to stamp all the flowers for all the colors, so I just selected a few colors. I made the first one in red, the second one in orange, then yellow. The fourth one is this sort of light mauve purple color, and the last one is going to be blue. And of course, I also colored the leaves in some different shades of green. And then to top it off, I added some scribbling. This is just some random scribbling. They're not real words. It's just to add a little bit of interest to the piece. For the second one, I went with these colored washi tape swatches, and I just put them down in a line, and I really love these washi tapes. And I also added the stamping and the scribbling. And now I'm gluing them down onto my envelope. Now for the next decoration, I'm going to be using this tag, and I'm going to cut it in half. And the bottom half I'm also going to turn into a tag, and I'm going to decorate them in a very similar way but with different colors. But before I did that, I started decorating my envelope with different pieces. I used this scrap piece from another project that had an interesting writing on it, and now I'm just inking it up. And I wanted to make it really grungy, so I kind of went directly with the ink pad, and then I activated the distress ink with water and a brush. And then with the leftover ink that I used for that strip, I also added some splattering to the envelope with a fan brush. And you can see here that I moved that piece of washi tape because that strip of paper was going to cover it, and I wanted all the hues to be visible, so I just moved it. And you can see there that I'm going to use that lovely color wheel. That one I did off camera when I was making some ephemera for my projects, and it was the main inspiration to create this envelope. I really wanted to use it somewhere. So now I'm moving on to sort of inking the tags, and I'm going to prepare them. I started by stamping with this little stamp. I gave it a little background, and then I inked it up again. I want it to look really grungy. And with this one, I'm going to create some color swatches with the watercolor pencils. This one is going to be with the warm colors plus that purple. And I'm just going to scribble them down. I'm not going to activate them with water. They're just going to be simple swatches. And then I'm going to add some stamping and some scribbling again. This scribbling technique I got from Natasha from Treasure Books. I love her channel, and she did this for one of her projects, and I thought it looked really nice. You don't really need to write anything, although if you have a nice handwriting, I guess you can, but I don't, so I just scribble and it looks real. And I love this effect. I've been using it in a lot of projects. Then I added some more stamping, and I scribbled a box around that little stamp, and then I added an eyelet to the tag. So for the second tag, I'm going to use the same thing, but this time I went with greens and blues, so a more of a cold color palette. And of course, here as well, I added the scribbling and then some stamping. And now I glued it down, and of course I also added the eyelet to that one. Now I'm adding a little piece of scrap under the color wheel, and then a label. And another little piece of ephemera with some numbers. So my envelope is done. The only thing I need to do is to glue it down and add a closure. I glued it down with a little bit of double-sided tape, and now I'm adding the closure. I just decided to go with this old piece of ephemera that I had. It's a circle with an eyelet, and I just glued down the bottom half of it so that it can then open up. And this is a close-up of the finished project. Still wasn't done with the whole palette color exploration. I just really wanted to play around a little bit more after making that accordion journal. And I love how this envelope looks. I love how the book pages create the layered look, almost as if they are old scribbles, old notes that have been ripped and used to decorate something. And this is how the closure works. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking, subscribing to my channel, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!